The following is a project of our nonprofit newsroom. Support Midcoast Morning and local community-centered journalism today by signing up to be a monthly sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. It doesn't take much money to support local news.
Hello and welcome to Midcoast Morning. I'm Joe Pugh. A pair of Vancouver Island entrepreneurs have lost their space, but not their vision. Last Mother's Day, Sabrina Anderson and Whirly Bird launched Stray Moat Farm Market, hoping to create community for island farmers. They took over the building across from the Nanaimo Airport in Cassidy that's hosted farm markets in one form or another since the 1970s. In October, just as they were getting ready to put the finishing touches on their first year, the building was destroyed by fire. In a recent Instagram post, Anderson and Bird said that their insurance adjuster found that their operations were not responsible. They also said, however, that they won't receive insurance to cover losses such as inventory or equipment. As the pair take some time to regroup and decide what's next, they stopped by the CHLY studio to reflect on their season at Stray Moat.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm one of the owners of the Stray Moat Farm Market.
Hey, I'm Whirly, also one of the owners of the Stray Moat Farm Market.
Well, thank you both very much for being here today in the CHLY studio and coming down. And thank you for being willing to talk about something that is very difficult that happened to you. The fire was back in October. Maybe to begin, just how are y'all doing now?
We're hanging in there, you know. It's been quite the journey, quite an unexpected thing that happened, so.
It was a surprising end to what was otherwise a really amazing first season in our business, and I think we're, just taking some time to process it, and now that the initial sort of shock is waning a little bit, we have this opportunity to really reflect on some of the more positive things we were able to achieve this year. And coming into the new year, that's definitely where we want to keep our heads at.
Yeah, can you tell me maybe a little bit about what the vision and what you were able to achieve in that first year of running Stray Coast?
We were really excited to kind of open the season after spending a year preparing, working with the previous owners. Whirly graduated from the VIU Cooperative Entrepreneur Training Program, and we opened the business on Mother's Day, which was really special. We just popped up with plants from the VIU horticulture program. We had ice cream. All of our friends showed up that morning knowing we would be a little bit behind. And they helped us finish setting up, labeling plants. We served ice cream for the day, and we started to get used to using the till. And then the next thing you know, a few days later, we were open for real. And we ended up being able to hire 3 women, local women from Cassidy, 2 that had worked for the previous owners of the Cassidy Farm Market, and one that came to us in the summer from high school and was just really keen to kind of get their first job. And we ended up supporting over 32 local makers, bakers, and growers, many of them from the Cassidy area, but everybody from the farming community between Duncan and sort of North Nanaimo. And we had this opportunity to just bring in food from nonprofits, food from growers that were just getting started, young couples. And so it was a chance to showcase their work. And we were able to really kind of communicate to the public what it was they were doing and who they were. And that was really special to have that opportunity to share their stories in our space and make that part of our story.
And what made you want to do this, to take this step?
I know for us, food has always been really important. And having good, healthy food to, just eat, because that's one thing that has been hard to find, genetically modified food is something that we're really aware of and we're really conscious of because we want to put healthy things into our bodies. So growing good food has always been really important to us. And then also providing it to the community has also been really important to us because we're aware that we really need food security in our community, because when, events happen such as climate events and things, it stops the food production coming in to the island, for example, and then we have to look at getting now food from our local resources. So it's kind of scary to think about, oh boy, we need more farmland, and to grow more local food, because that's where people want to get their food from. They want to know where it comes from, and they want to know where it's grown.
And I think we're looking at a transitional time in food production, right? A lot of farmers are aging out. A lot of new farmers are coming in, and they put all this work in to grow these crops, and there's not an opportunity for them to move that food into a regular grocery store. And there's not an opportunity for them to actually support themselves from the food that they're growing in a lot of cases. And by creating a market business where we knew we were going to be able to provide fair to farmer prices, but we were also going to be able to take the diversity in what they had in smaller quantities and showcase it and move it within a week. It was something that really motivated us. We've been in farmers markets for years, and I think having this opportunity to just create the space in order to deliver that food to people and provide, our vision was to build it into something that had this educational component as well. And so not only did we want to sell the food, but we really wanted to be able to teach people about food production, and to tell them the story of the farmer and tell them how this food was produced and where it was produced. And so if you came into the store and you wanted to buy a cabbage, it wasn't just a purple cabbage. It was a purple cabbage grown by Growing Opportunities Farm Community Co-op. And people could actually see that on the tag and then come to us and talk to us at the till, and we could tell them a little bit more about this co-op, where they could go to support them in other ways. And that sense really built community within the space. And so it was about creating connections between the food and the community that we wanted to support. And I think we achieved that in the season that we had.
Yeah, we were also really inspired to open the business there because we really wanted to create community. And then we would have like events such as community days, and we bring everyone together. And it was really nice to get to know each other and like create that sense of community, because in Cassidy, that's something that's really needed, is community. And I think that's, really needed everywhere, is community. And that was one of the really big reasons why we wanted to do it, was to bring everyone together. You could come there, you could see your neighbor, you could get some ice cream, you could hang out in the field, you could hang out and you could have a rest. It wasn't like going to the grocery store and I got to go in there, get all my groceries and get to the till and get out. I'm in this giant line. No, it wasn't like that. It was like you came into the market, you had a different experience. You got to learn about where your food was coming from. You got to like see the history of like the place itself and how it's developed over time as a food market and production space. And then you had a beautiful resting space where you could just hang out and have a picnic. And that was like really important to us, was to create that rest stop.
You're listening to Midcoast Morning. My guests are Sabrina Anderson and Whirly Bird. The farmers and entrepreneurs are taking some time to share memories of Stray Coastal Moat Farm Market, their business which was destroyed by fire in October.
Before we opened, we had, a whole bunch. We have a lot of really talented friends, and they really contributed their talents to us being able to open our doors, from painting to, installing different lights, to putting in new flooring in the bathroom, to helping, bring plants or bring unique art that they created. Everything that they created and contributed.
Helping us move heavy fridges in the market, and just helping us clean up, and painting and everything. Their support was amazing, and we really couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah,
so
we just
thank them.
Yeah, we just really want to say thank you to the people that really gave us their time and their skills to support our vision and our dream.
You yourselves have experience as farmers, and as you've described, that's a big part of what you wanted the market to do, was kind of bring the community together, to bring a space for local farmers to have their produce on offer. Is there anything you can maybe share about the Vancouver Island or Mid-Island farming community and the opportunities that kind of exist to do that otherwise?
Yeah, one thing that we really realized in operating this business was the sort of power of genuinely wanting to connect with farmers and genuinely wanting to showcase what they were doing. We saw, growers were coming to us with their products, and they would entrust us with them. And we were able to put them on display in a really nice way. But I think what was special was that people could see true seasonal diversity. They could see what was fresh that week. And we would always have a board up that would list all the farms, all what came in that week, and people could start to understand the seasonality of produce being grown on the island.
Yeah, we wanted to create basically a local community hub to access local farm food.
Yeah, and there was something special about having so many different farmers in one space, because we had opportunities to meet farmers that were growing products that we hadn't seen before, interesting round zucchinis, unique varieties of tomatoes, things that other our customers had never seen before. And we would direct people to go to the farmers market. We were telling people about other places they could go to buy. There are other farm stores, of course, around Cedar. There's quite a lot of farm stands, so you can encourage people to kind of do the loop. There's opportunities to get involved as volunteers. Some of our farming mentors include Isabel Morris from Farm Ship. She helped us with the business, and she's an important person to mention because she helped us as a farm mentor, but she also brought her products to us, helped kind of introduce us to the farming community, to some of the other growers. We were well supported by them, and there's opportunities to volunteer with Farm Ship. There's opportunities to volunteer with organizations like Growing Opportunities, Farm Community Co-op. And hopefully in the future there'll be opportunities to volunteer with us. We're definitely not separate from the farming community, and I think when bad things happen in the farming community, we've always had each other. Farming communities haven't always had the resources, but we've had each other, and that there's a long history of that in all farming communities, showing up to harvest together, showing up to fix tractors, pull things out of the mud. It's kind of stereotypical, but it's true. And we felt that when things were going well, we felt supported and celebrated. And when things were difficult, we still felt supported and we still felt celebrated.
That was the whole purpose of our business model, was to not compete with other farmers, but to support farmers and to bring it all together in one place and have that accessible to the public.
You were talking about the community, the farming community always wants to come together. What has the support been like from the community since the incident?
The support has been amazing. Just receiving messages and comments about how, we're so sorry what's happened and we're here for whatever you need and how can we support you and we're looking forward to what's next. And that has been really, really helpful in this time. Absolutely. Yeah, it's the community support has been really, really great. It always has been, and they are really excited for what we could possibly get into next. And they really, really, really stood behind our idea and really supported us from the beginning.
And that journey didn't just begin on Mother's Day. It didn't just begin this year, right? Like, what was the pathway like to do all of the steps that led up to being able to open?
Oh boy, all of the steps. Well, we put in at least a season's worth dedication of work and just like shadowing from the previous owners, trying to learn the business and, what that means running the market. And then I also had to go to university to get help to understand what it means to be an entrepreneur and what that means running your own business. So there was a lot of work, at least a whole season's worth of volunteering in school. And, we had to also, clean up the market and do a little painting and for everyone that drove by, they saw us pressure washing on everything outside and the ceiling and the roofs and everything. So yeah, they saw quite a lot of love, quite a lot of work go into this, definitely before we opened the doors.
Yeah, they were watching us painting the signs on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
And rolling all the racks outside and rolling all the racks back inside. And, we were kind of busy bees running around in and out and doing all kinds of things prior to opening and Mother's Day. And I think just the intention behind business planning, where you mentioned going to the entrepreneur program through VIU and the support that gave us, connections to mentors, connections to other nonprofits, and the opportunity to really think about what we were trying to do. It's not like we just opened with no intention. I mean, we really planned to be in this space for years to come. Like, this was the first year of what we thought was going to be many in that space.
Midcoast Morning. We'll be right back.
Midcoast Morning is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Support Midcoast Morning and CHLY's nonprofit newsroom today by becoming a sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. Local news can't survive without your support. Another way to help us out is to share this show with your friends and tell them why they should support us. Finally, if you're listening to the podcast edition of Midcoast Morning, go and give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast feed you use. It helps people find us.
Today on the show, I'm speaking with Sabrina Anderson and Whirly Bird. The farmers and entrepreneurs lost their business in a fire last October. They'd only just started Stray Moat Farm Market, taking over the site across from the Nanaimo Airport in Cassidy, which had been running in various forms since the 1970s. I know you shared on Instagram, insurance took a look and you found out that you won't get compensated for kind of all of the stuff that was in there from local markets, from local artisans. You talked about as well all of the intangibles, what you put in that, insurance can't put a dollar value on that, even if they were going to pay you out. I'm wondering maybe what you take away from this experience, what the fire couldn't take away from you.
It definitely can't take away all the amazing memories we have. And, I really got to see that when I was looking through like all the pictures that we have. And it felt like I got to experience what the customers were experiencing for once. And it was truly beautiful and really amazing. And, the store was always well done and it was always well put together, and just being in the atmosphere where I felt like I could relax while I was grocery shopping.
And just thinking about the connections that we were able to make. I think when we started and we opened this year, Whirly and I had a lot of conversations about this. We weren't doing this to get rich. I mean, you don't run a grocery store to get, well, maybe some, but you do not run a community-based, farm-focused grocery market and deli like we did, expecting to make a lot of money. And this year, that was never our plan. Our plan was to build those community connections, to connect with growers, to get their products into the market, to connect with local artists, to connect with local makers, really showcase their stuff collectively in a space, and have that for the community. And we were able to do that this year. We were able to build these connections and these networks that the fire doesn't take away from us. And we're still in touch with these people. We're still in touch with a lot of really talented people. And we're so grateful that they gave us the opportunity to showcase their things this year and to be in a space that had so much history. I mean, the market opened in 1979 with the Johnsons. We got to meet Dick and Gail. They would come down to the store, just big smiles on their face. They brought us plants to sell when they had extra from their farm. And we really felt like we were kind of the next in line for this. And we felt so welcomed. And, you can't take that away from us. Nothing physical is going to take that away from us.
Yeah, we still have the community and we still have the support.
Do you have any other maybe favorite moments or favorite memories from this summer that really stand out that you want to share?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that on the way here. So one day, before we were open, we have to go into the market at least an hour early to get it ready before we even open the doors. So we're in there an hour early, as we are every morning. And I guess the back door had been cracked open just slightly, because I guess we just got in there. And Sabrina was in the deli, actually, and then one of our employees was in there just getting ready for the day. And I guess a lady had snuck in through the crack in the door and came right into the market, right into the deli, and looks at Sabrina and says, "Hey, can you make me a sandwich?" Right at night, we were like, "We're not even open. How did you get in here?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "Oh, just
came through the back door. It was open." And so we knew people were really excited for what we were doing. I mean, they were showing up an hour early. And I think, one of the memories that really sticks out for me is our first team meeting. We had 3 women that were working for us, as we said, and 2 of them had worked for the previous owners and in the Cassidy market. And so there's this transition, right? You got new owners, they've got new ideas. And so we wanted to create an opportunity to just sit down with them, get some feedback. We'd been open for a couple weeks. How's it going? And we're just sitting out at the picnic table, 5 women, and you see this photo around on social media of the 5 of us standing in front of the market. And we've all got ice cream in our hands, which I don't know if you can see, but there was this sense of of empowerment. I mean, we're all under 30 years old. We're 5 young women running this entire business, running this market. And I think we just felt so proud, and we worked so well together. And Worley and I were just so thankful for the team that we were able to develop, and the opportunity to work with so many talented and kind people that really supported us. I mean, they gave us genuine feedback. They would tell us when we were a little astray, and they wanted to support us in our vision, and vice versa. We wanted to support them in having meaningful employment, and it was special to have those moments together.
Yeah, and some of like my other favorite memories were, people would come to the market and they would dance in our store because they loved the tunes we were playing, and it was just so fun to have that with everyone. And
what about Terry and the salsa? We had one of the previous owners who worked for the Johnsons when she was a high school student. So this was back in the 80s. She came to the market one day and she said, "Hey, do you guys want to learn how to make the Johnson's original salsa recipe? Like the Vado salsa? I have the recipe." And we were, of course. And she came a couple days later. We got the ingredients together and we made the Johnson's original salsa recipe. We were able to sell that for the rest of the summer. And we actually were able to give a container of it to the Johnsons, who just happened to show up the next day with, pure magic. So I think, a lot of things like that happened that really assured us that, we're on the right track here.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that salsa was like? Was it extra chunky, extra spicy?
It was made in a 5-gallon ice cream bucket, the official measurement of the market since the 1970s. It was very, very finely chopped tomatoes, and it had jalapenos in it. And it was spicy, but not too spicy. It had a little bit of kick. And I think it was just like going back in time, having that and the memories attached to it. And, Terry showed us exactly how to chop it and prep it. And so we know we made it right.
Yeah.
Earlier, Sabrina, you were talking about this photo of 5 women under 30 kind of collaborating on this new thing. If you look at all of the press coverage maybe from October when the fire happened, the headlines all talked about young entrepreneurs. Do you have any maybe reflections on what that aspect of it is like, just running a business as, what society would see as a quote, young entrepreneur?
Well, I think in our case, we're running a business that required that we be there for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and we would have 1 day a week off to try to catch up on all the paperwork, because we weren't, we were running a legitimate business. I mean, we formed a corporation, we were running a business, and there's a lot of paperwork and not so glamorous things that come along with that. But for us, it was exciting. I mean, we were building something for ourselves, and we felt like we were creating an atmosphere where we could thrive and where we could bring people in that were similar to us and we could see them thrive. And so we always felt really highly motivated because we were creating something for ourselves. And that's something special to entrepreneurship. Having your vision and seeing your vision come to life is something that it's hard to understand without having the opportunity to do it. And we're so grateful that we had the opportunity to do that.
Entrepreneurship for me was also creating your own vision, and for me, like, that meant creating safe space for people to just be themselves, and where they know they can come to this place and they can feel seen and they can feel heard and they can feel safe and they can also feel relaxed. And just creating that kind of environment for me has been something so special and so important for my whole life. And just creating that for a place to go for somewhere here in the world or anywhere like on the island is very, very important for me because I seek that community so much myself.
Is there anything else you'd like to let folks know about your journey or your story or your time with the market?
I think our intention was always to get the market up and running and then be able to be producing for it ourselves. And that's a vision that we still hold on to. When we were developing the business, Worley and I actually built the entire market out of Lego. And if you ever came to the market, you could see our Lego model of what we wanted the market to become. And it was special to see kids, you know, they would be eating their ice cream and they'd be, oh my gosh, there's Lego. And they'd freak out and they'd come running.
Just come for that.
They just come for that. They come running behind the counter to look at it. And we have some pretty special memories kind of explaining our vision and seeing that model every day and knowing that this is where we're trying to go. And it was more than just a space to sell local food. I mean, it really was about creating a community gathering space and a real destination and keeping that island landmark alive. And I think we still carry that with us. And that's still, you know, the vision for us is to create a space like that again for people to come together and eat together like we've always done when we're celebrating. And that's what we're holding on to now.
Yep. And Sabrina has a degree in applied agriculture sciences.
Oh, yeah. So I went to university for agricultural sciences, and I have this opportunity to kind of apply that knowledge in a different way right now. And still, I think we need more food production on the island. I think you mentioned, right, we have about 4% that we produce on the island, and 4% isn't very much, right? 3 days and we'd be out of food here. And so one of the things that we were working on was helping new entrant farmers have a market to sell. And one of the things that we continue to work on is actually working with nonprofits to train up and coming farmers and, you know, get them engaged in agriculture, get them learning life skills, get them meeting each other and building their confidence, and then finding them job placements on different farms so they can continue in their skill development. And so having this opportunity to meet more farmers actually helped us expand that network for some of the other projects that we continue to be involved in now.
Sabrina Anderson and Whirly Bird are farmers and entrepreneurs. They were looking back on their season running Stray Coastal Moat Farm Market, which was destroyed in a fire in October. That fire is still under investigation by Ladysmith RCMP. That's our story for the day. Thank you for joining me. I'm Joe Pugh, host and producer of Midcoast Morning. Jesse Woodward is our executive producer, and Arby Frew is our technical advisor. You can sign up for CHLY's newsletter at chly.ca/subscribe for updates from our nonprofit newsroom and more. Our theme song is First One by local Nanaimo band Waste Management. If you have a story you would like us to cover, email us at news@chly.ca. That's all for now. I'll talk to you on another Midcoast Morning.
Midcoast Morning would not be possible without the funding of the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Midcoast Morning is a project of CHLY's nonprofit newsroom. Support nonprofit journalism in Nanaimo and on the Salish Sea today by becoming a monthly sustaining donor at $5 or more per month. Support the program at chly.ca/donate. If you're already a supporter, record a voice memo telling others where you're listening from and why they too should support our work. After you're done, you can email it to us. Also, share the podcast with your friends. While Meta is blocking Canadian users from sharing news content on their Facebook feeds, you can still share our podcast directly with your friends via Facebook or Instagram Messenger. Finally, this program acknowledges and gives thanks to the Snuneymuxw First Nation as we broadcast and podcast from their traditional territory. Thanks for listening.